Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, it's been a bit of a slow week since the trade deadline.
Yeah, we we were kind of discussing. We really don't have too much news going on since the trade deadline, but we kind of knew that it's kind of that time now where it's really just kind of talking about leading up to the playoffs, which we have a little bit of that to talk about. We got a couple news things here and there, and then we came up. Well, you came up with something that we'll kind of do in the later half of this, but. To just jump right in, I mean, what do we want to start here with?
We could definitely start with the Rempe, with the Rempe suspension, that whole situation.
Yep. If you want to break it down, the whole thing that happened, the situation.
Yeah. So obviously, Matt Rempe, he has been an absolute wrecking ball since debuting in the league. What, maybe 2 months ago, if that. And
about a month and a half, I would say.
Yeah, and he's been hitting everything. He's been fighting a ton. And so the other day he was playing. He plays for the Rangers, obviously. Was playing against the Devils, and he just laid a nasty hit on Jonas Siegenthaler. Just completely missed him with the body, hit him in the head with the elbow. It's pretty cut and dry penalty right there. He got a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for elbowing at the time. He has since been suspended for 4 games. They gave him a hearing and was given that. So for a guy who's a lot of his kind of charm to his team in the league is hitting and fighting, it's tough that this early in his career he's got that history now, because they love in the Department of Player Safety to really nail guys who have the history. So now he's got that kind of on his permanent record. It looks like Siegenthaler is relatively okay. I think he has a concussion. I don't think they said it was too serious, but I mean, all concussions are bad.
Any player. Exactly, right.
But
he does have a concussion.
Yeah, it was not a great look on Rempe. He was waving to the crowd and waving to the Jersey Devils as
he was waving
off
to
the ice.
Curtis McDermott, the guy that, New Jersey's kind of new big tough guy that wanted to fight Rempe, and Rempe refused to fight him and kept dodging him. And then once Rempe knows that he delivered a cheap shot and he's got the ref and the linesman kind of protecting him, that's when he kind of showboats and waves to McDermott on his way off. But the Rangers and Devils, they play one more time this year, so Rempe clearly didn't want to go toe to toe with McDermott, who a lot of of those kind of tough guys around the league, quite a few of them will say that McDermott's kind of one of, if not the, toughest guy in the league. So I mean, if Rempe's in the lineup when they play one more time this season, without a doubt, he's now going to have to answer to what he did with McDermott for, not only the cheap shot, but then kind of taunting at McDermott on his way off there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are talking, like you said, about he was dodging McDermott and all that throughout the game. I don't really care too much about that. If a guy wants to fight you, it's kind of your right to say piss off.
No, I agree with that, but to taunt him like that's too far.
The way that Siegenthaler had not gotten to his feet yet, and Rempe was still kind of egging people on, was like, you just don't see that very often, Like you'll see Corey Perry, Brad Marchand, those types. They'll fuck around with a guy and they'll be like, yeah, come at me. As soon as some guy's on the ice for a long time, especially after a blatant headshot like that, if Brad Marchand, as much as I don't like him, if he lays this hit, I don't think he's sitting there beaking with the other team as the guy's laying on the ice.
No. And it's the fact that, Rempe did it when he knew that the ref and linesman were in the middle, and he knew that he could get away with doing that because,
Yeah.
There's nothing McDermott could have done. The one thing I will say though is like this is Rempe's game. Like he has to go out there and either, and we talked about it, about his fighting and
Yeah.
how, it's part of his game, but he doesn't need to do it on a nightly basis. But if he's not fighting, this is kind of his game. Like if he's not out there hitting and fighting, there's no room for him in the league because,
Or at the very least on the
based
Rangers,
on
a
him,
very deep
he just
team.
any team, he does not have the skill set to be a guy who just goes out there and plays to, set up goals or goes out there to score a goal realistically. Like he is either out there to hit or fight. Like he's not out there to score goals and
To take
help
the
the
zone
team
and
to
yeah.
he's not putting the team on his back offensively to win games. He's putting the team on his back through his hits and fights, and that's just the type of player he is. But when you're going out there and it was a pretty bad headshot, and to get 4 games, a 4-game suspension, when he's played, I don't even know if he's even played 12 games in the league yet, is already a tough start for him. And I think he's got a bit of an uphill battle when he comes back in that New Jersey game. Like he's going to have to answer the bell to. I'm assuming it's going to be McDermott, but if it's not him, it's going to be someone else, and he's going to have no choice to, because the headshot is one thing, but to sit there and taunt when you very clearly injure a guy and do that, like you're going to have to answer for it one way or another now.
Yeah, and we saw with things like when Kaprizov got earlier in the year got cross-checked. If you're not going to answer the bell, the other team might take it upon themselves to go after one of your guys. Then, if you're not going to fight, they're going to go after your Artemi Panarins, your Mika Zibanejads, and that's the last thing the Rangers need, is Rempe starting a fight that ends with one of their all-stars getting taken out of commission. So
and that's
hopefully
the thing, right?
they do end up fighting next time.
Yeah, like if Rempe doesn't answer the bell, someone's going to take it upon themselves to be like, you know what, I'm just going to go and just open ice run over Panarin when he's not looking, and blindside him, and then it's going to be like, well, here you go now. It's an eye for an eye. You won't
do something about it. Yeah,
stand up and defend your actions. And I mean, as much as it sucks to see cheap shots happen on players, it's part of the game. It's always going to happen. And if Rempe goes out there and fights, I think, okay, clean slate now, let's move on. But if he keeps dodging, being like, I'm not going to fight, well, one of his more skilled, one of the top players on the team is unfortunately going to be the one that has to pay the price for it. And yeah, with the Rangers, I mean, it's as good as the Rangers are. If they lose one of their top players, I think they're done. Like they need, after their trade deadline, because they really didn't add anything super impactful to the team. If they lose one of their top guys, that could very well, especially long term, that could really do them in for this season.
Yeah, and I actually, I imagine you didn't see too much of it, but I sure saw tonight that we're recording on March 14th, where I just finished watching Tampa versus the Rangers. Rempe is still out because of the suspension, so he didn't play against Tampa. And their captain,
Trouba.
What's his name? Trouba. Trouba was also out. I guess he's injured. That's their 2 biggest guys. Like Tampa is not a team that physically opposes many teams and manhandles them. We kind of beat the crap out of them. Like not a ton, but like we were definitely landing more hits and getting the better in a lot of these puck battles and stuff. And they didn't have a lot of guys who were clearly had the size and the will to go in and outmuscle, because those guys are out. So
especially when if you're looking at
that.
Especially when if you're looking at the, if you're ranking them the toughest teams in the league, Tampa's probably in the bottom half, like the lower half of the 32 teams.
Yeah,
and
like
the
16 to 20 range, like just below average, I would say.
I'd probably even have them in the 20 to 25 just because of their size. But like even the Rangers, without Trouba and Rempe, they're still a big team. But out of a lot of the big players that they have, they're kind of soft. So I mean, the Rangers are a big team, but they're big teddy bears that they have. Like they're not guys that are going to crash and bash you and fight and use their body to gain the advantage by any means. Like they're so the fact that Tampa's able to kind of dominate them, being the less aggressive team and the smaller team, really shows that, you know what, it doesn't matter your size. If you're going out there with the will and the determination, you can really just kind of take over your opponents. And I think that's kind of been the Rangers' biggest problem for the longest time. I mean, they kind of addressed it for a little bit the 1 year, but then immediately, like, boom, they're back to just, let's get the biggest names we can, the most skilled guys. But then with that, they're also grabbing kind of the softest guys. So it's not a good recipe that the Rangers have. Like, if you don't have Trouba, Trouba doesn't really fight. He'll throw those nice little clotheslines and elbows, but without him and Rempe, they're kind of a bit of a soft team. So it's going to be interesting in the playoffs to see if if they can trust Rempe, first of all, in a 7-game series. Like, can they afford to have him on the ice every night, playing his 5, 6, 7 minutes type of thing, or whatnot. But it's an interesting position that the Rangers are kind of in now.
Yeah, for sure. This next part, this will be very brief. This will not even be a 2-minute conversation, really. But for anyone who needs or wants it, there is a sexual assault trigger warning that comes with this piece. The Calgary Flames renounced their rights to draft pick Topi Ronnie on Tuesday. He is a 19-year-old. He was sentenced in his native land of Finland for a rape that occurred when he was a minor. There's not much to say. That's literally all we have on this right now. So they renounced their rights to him. They picked him a couple years ago, I think in the either second or third round.
He was a second-round pick in, I believe, 2020. Yeah, I mean, he's been suspended for 1 whole year in the Finnish league that he's in. So that's a whole year of that he's not going to get to play hockey now. At least in that league, I don't know if there's going to be a team within another league that will take him in. But the Flames have decided, hey, he's not, part of our franchise. He's not going to ever be part of our team, and I don't know if any team will take a flyer on him now. So it'll probably be, he's, when his suspension is good and served and done, depending on whatever future charges he may be hit with. I don't think he'll ever be an NHL player now, though.
Yeah, it sounds like he was already sentenced. It happened when he was a minor, but who knows what age that actually is. But yeah, good on the Flames, especially with Dylan Dubé. It's good of them to just nip this in the bud before it's even I heard about this before it was even a conversation that they renounced their rights to him. So good on them for staying ahead of it for once and doing the right thing earlier than you have to before it's called upon.
Yeah, 100%. What else we got here? I guess this one's kind of on the topic because it happened tonight. The Pittsburgh Penguins were planning to do their Jaromir Jagr bobblehead giveaway night to fans in attendance tonight, and it was unfortunately postponed due to the bobbleheads being stolen. And some of them have already been, a couple hours after they'd been stolen, they were already listed on eBay. So I don't think it'll be too hard for them to track down.
Isn't that just like giving away that you're the guy who did it?
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what it is. So, I mean, and then they posted a cool thing of Jagr in a pretty cool car with one of the bobbleheads and being like, let's go solve this mystery type of thing and get him back. And so, yeah, like when they're already posted on eBay, it's not going to be hard for them to find out who stole them and where they're at and get them back. And so that'll kind of be a story to keep an update on and see how they plan to navigate the rest of that, when and if they get him back, and when they plan to end up, doing the bobblehead giveaway that a lot of fans tonight we're looking forward to, and unfortunately we're not able to get their hands on them.
Yeah, it sounds like they if you went to the game tonight, you got a voucher to get the bobbleheads. I don't know if you're getting a voucher to get one of the bobbleheads later, or if it's like to get one at the next game, or what it was, because
just
they
at some
initially
point,
just said,
like maybe the next game you come to, you show it to
Yeah.
someone at one of the merchandise stores there or whatever, and you can get one or something like that.
Yeah, originally they said they were just moving it to the
fans,
next game. Yeah, they said they were moving it to the next game, but then they were handing out. I had seen online that they were handing out vouchers for them at the game tonight. So
Yeah, so it'll
it
probably
sounds
be
like, however it works,
next time you get there.
the people in attendance are going to get them.
Yeah, which
Did
is
you see-
the way to do it.
Did you see Gritty's post that that he was saying he did it?
I didn't see it, but like I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he was taking credit for stealing the shipment of bobbleheads. It was pretty funny.
That does not surprise me one bit from Gritty at all. We don't really have too much more. I guess this one really not much to say, but the Leafs extended Bobby McMann to a 2-year deal with a $1.35 million AAV. He's been kind of a nice little surprise addition to the Leafs. He's not a needle mover or anything by any means, but like he's a good depth piece for them that can provide some depth scoring and can be relied on in time. So I think that's a great signing for the Leafs, and a huge deal for man who coming into the season wasn't sure if he'd ever end up making it to being a full-time NHL player. And now he's a part of the Leafs group moving forward for the next 2 seasons after this one. So
yeah, good for him. It was I think it's a good deal for the Leafs. I think it's great for him.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. That he's officially got some NHL money under his belt. He's got a bit more financial security, and he's been great. Like, if he can continue playing how he has the past month and a bit for the Leafs for the next 2 years, he's going to be worth well more than 1.35 at the end of those 2 years.
Yeah, 100%.
I think we just have, looks like 2 more things here. One of them being that former NHLer Anson Carter and the Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group have formally requested the league commences the expansion process to bringing a franchise to the Atlanta area. They want another franchise in Atlanta, and everything seems to point towards it being a good idea. I don't believe the NHL has said anything on it yet, but they did publicly and formally ask them to start getting the ball moving on that. So it'll be interesting to see if we see something come of that maybe this off season, or who knows, maybe they'll announce soon that we have plans for it.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see if there's any traction that kind of happens from this. Again, I'm still a big believer that if you've got 1 or 2 expansion teams, eventually it's going to be 4, because I really just think it's just not right, and it's weird if you got the whole wild card situation and the way they have it in the top 3 from divisions, but you've also got a different amount of teams in each division. I think is just kind of weird, because not only does it potentially benefit certain teams in divisions, but then it also makes the scheduling a bit weird. Like, I think you need that parity and you need that kind of sameness. So I think if it starts with 1 expansion team or 2, eventually it is going to be 4, and you're probably going to be getting up to 36 teams.
And I think that's what the NHL probably wants by around 2030. I think there's clearly, because we've had a good amount of interest now from groups in Atlanta, Salt Lake City, Houston, and I think there was even another one. I might be thinking of the Salt Lake City one, but there was somebody who was saying we've got a lot of money.
Those are kind of the big 3. Those are like the big 3, and like Canada, as cool as it would be, Canada's not getting another team. whether it's Quebec City, people being like, "Oh, give Toronto a second team."
That wouldn't. I don't think that'll ever
Hamilton,
happen. I
like
think
it's just Canada's not getting another team. It's just, especially with the amount of players that have already come out and said, like, I don't want to go to a Canadian, uh, you know, team, and seeing some Canadian teams have struggled. It's not happening. Like
the only
whether
yeah.
we'll get four more American teams. I think we've kind of already know what three of them would be, and then the fourth one is kind of up in the air. You can go in multiple different directions with it, but
Yeah,
as cool as it would be,
I
like,
would love to
Canada's not
see.
getting one.
I would love to see a team, an expansion team in Quebec City. I think that's the only place it could
I don't
work
think
in
that's the
Canada.
market. No,
But
I think they could get away with a team in Saskatchewan. I really do. I think you could 100. I think that'd be
I
more
I very much
profitable.
want it. I want it, but I don't see it ever happening, or at least not in
No,
the next four teams.
I don't
I
think it'll
am a
ever happen.
massive proponent of it because they have so little in the way of big sports teams there. Like 70% of the province cheers for the Saskatoon Blades because that's just the biggest hockey team they have. Like if they got an NHL team in Regina or just the Saskatchewan somethings, like I think that fan base would be rabid and it would be so fun, but
Yeah, it's
I
not going to happen, but
yeah, and it's too bad
we
because
can
I think
always
it would be
dream.
great.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
But yeah, we'll let you know if anything uh goes forward with Atlanta and the Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group over there.
Yeah. What do we have? Do we have anything else? I don't have it
Just
pulled up here.
Detroit.
Oh, Detroit. Yeah. What are they on? Like a seven game losing streak now?
Yeah.
I don't have it pulled up here. Okay, it is 7. Yeah. I mean, they've kind of they were in a pretty good solid playoff spot for the majority of the season. They've kind of fallen out. Well, I mean, they have fallen out of it, but like they're still tied with the Islanders. Um, I mean, I see Detroit fans all crying and whining online about it, but realistically, like, they weren't even supposed to be a playoff team this year. If they make the playoffs, like, they're coming in as that, you know, 8 seed second wild card spot. They're losing the first round. In terms of the Yzer plan, they're already ahead of where they should be. Because realistically, they shouldn't even be a playoff team this season. And the fact that they're at the spot where they're at now, they're already ahead of schedule, which
Yeah.
I think is phenomenal for them. But like, they're not going to be a team that makes the playoffs and then goes on a run to the Western Conf or the Eastern Conference final and then the Stanley Cup final, whatever. Like, it would be okay, you made the playoffs. Here's you're slapping by the Rangers or the Panthers or the Bruins or whatever.
Yeah, but that's
But
still a lot better than missing the playoffs, right? Like, especially for a team that hasn't
well,
made it in several years. Like, to
I
be
don't know
able
if
to
they
get
if they
that,
lose a little bit to
to
get a
get
higher draft pick.
to get that tangible, we are better, we are better than we've been, and I think they're at that point. I think they're at that point where they're a team that's going to expect playoffs because uh, whether you want to argue what they should be or not, it is different. But they've been a playoff team for like 80% of the season. They've been in the
Mhm.
wild card spot or the Atlantic spot for almost the whole year. So obviously it sucks, falling out, in the middle of March of all times, like right as the season's winding down. Like you said, 7-game losing streak, but it'll be interesting to see who sneaks into these wild card spots in the East for sure. Because uh, the Islanders, we were talking before the podcast started, they won a lot of games in a row. I think it was 6 or 7, and then they lost a bunch in a row, and now they're on a bit of a losing streak again. Like
Mhm.
they're a very streaky team, which could be good or bad for them at this point in the season. But uh, yeah, right now Tampa's at 76 points, tied with Philly, who's at 76, who are currently in the third spot in the Metro. And then Islanders right now have the second wildcard spot with 72. Red Wings are also at 72. Honestly, keep your eye on the Sabres. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10, and they're at 69 points. They're only three points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, they've been on a run, and Bowen Byram's been great lately. I think if you're Detroit, I think they're better off missing the playoffs. Honestly, I think they're better off if they fall back a bit and they end up in that, that picking in that 10 to 14, 15 range. I think they could get a really solid defenseman in there, and that's really what they need. They've obviously got Simone Edvinsson coming up at some point. They have Maurice Seider, who started off really good, but then really hasn't taken that next step since. He's kind of stayed in that same area. But I think if Detroit misses and they end up in that spot and they can grab, whichever defenseman they want, that's available in there. I think that could be really huge for them in terms of, when they take that next step next year, and next when they're probably a playoff team. When you've got a young defense like that who's coming up, that's going to be a big part of your blue line. I think could be huge for them, rather than making the playoffs and then you're ending up a little bit later in the draft and maybe you miss out on those guys, and then the guy you get maybe isn't as big of a part of your future as another guy. Could be I would sacrifice a first round loss in a sweep or 5 or 6 games or whatever. I'd rather get that defense, and that can be a huge part of their team, unless they plan on trading up. But I don't really know what a trade would look like depending on what teams are there. But in terms of where they're at, they're already ahead of where they should be in their plan. So but where they're at now, it's Kane's going to stick around.
But you got to look at what they're doing now, not where you project them to be. And right now, they look like they could make the playoffs. And I think any chance you have to get in the playoffs, I think you take it. Anyone can go on a run at any point, and if nothing else, Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, getting all these guys a couple more playoff games under their belt, a little more experience.
None of them have any playoff games under their belts. They're all completely inexperienced.
So
I think for them,
I think they need to. Help.
I agree, but at the end of the day, I mean,
it never hurts to draft more talent.
Exactly, and that's where I'm kind of at with them. I've seen teams where, have been on that cusp and they make the playoffs. It's great, we made the playoffs, and it's oh, we got swept, and now, look at these other great pieces that were taken, 2-3 picks in front of us that have gone on to be these elite players, and we got a guy that, either didn't even make the NHL or made it, and they're a bottom 6 forward or a bottom pair defense, and it's so was making the playoffs that year, just to say we made it really worth it, when you're looking at shit, look at these guys that we could have had if we, didn't take that extra step this year. But regardless, for Detroit, they're well ahead of where they should be, and come next year, they're going to be one of those teams that's honestly probably up in that top 3 in the Atlantic. I think they're going to take that extra step, and they're going to be firmly in a playoff spot come this time next year. They got nothing to worry about.
It'll be tough to judge because there's really not a lot of teams falling off much in the Atlantic or in the East at all, and there's a lot of teams on the rise up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
Florida's due. As good as they are right now. Yeah, as good as they are right now, they have no draft picks, no prospects coming up, and all of their guys that are kind of on expiring deals are playing their way into bigger deals where they're not going to be able to afford everybody, and then eventually they're going to be kind of like a Colorado, where you're relying on your top defensive pair and your first line, and that's it. The only exception is Colorado's better in every area of that. As good as Florida is, they don't have a Nathan McKinnon, they don't have a Mikko Rantanen, they don't have a Cale Makar, or hell, even a Devon Taves, really.
I will say, Colorado doesn't have a Sergei Bobrovsky.
No, but they're making do with.
Oh yeah,
they're outscoring their problems, which
I see what you mean,
and might not be as easy for Florida.
Yeah,
because they're more of a defensive team, so they'd have to probably try and win those grindy, 3-2, 2-1 type of games. But which is why I think it's very apparent for them that like they went. I mean, they didn't really go on all in last year. They went on a great run, but this year they're kind of really going all in to try and capitalize on their small window that they have open now.
Yeah. Do we have anything else before we get to what we're doing in the middle here?
I got nothing here left now. No, it's just a weird time of year where we don't have much right now after the trade deadline. So, but you had something that you wanted us to do here. I know.
Yeah, I've got it up here. It's so what we're gonna do here is we're doing a little bit of trivia. We're gonna be doing some. I'm gonna be reading it off for Brundi here. Feel free to play along at home if you want. I figured it might be a little bit easy to do most points by a player on each team over the last 3 seasons. So we're going to be doing second most points on each given team in the last 3 seasons. So we're going to be doing this for all 32 teams.
Second most, okay.
Yeah, we're going to go through alphabetical, starting with the Anaheim Ducks, and I've got them pulled up here, and each we'll give you a couple, one or two, 3 guesses. We'll keep it fairly brief because there's 32 teams to get through. But you're looking for over the past 3 seasons, who has the second most points.
Okay.
For each team. So starting with the Anaheim Ducks. And don't be afraid to walk us through your thought process. Like if you know who the top scorer is, if you think you can eliminate that person.
Oof. I mean,
I will say this one's pretty close.
As I say, I feel like Troy Terry's probably number 1.
You would be correct.
Yeah, which is tough because I'm like, fuck, who else? Because they're really kind of a shit team. Like they really don't have.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4 are separated by 12 points.
It honestly might be. I'm gonna go with Ryan Strome.
It is not Ryan Strome. He is.
Is it the last 3 seasons?
7? Yes.
Is it someone currently on the team?
Yes.
Oh fuck. Fuck. I mean, they're just really bad. Frank Vetrano.
Nope. He is 5th.
Is it McTavish?
It is not. Looks like he's down in 8th or something.
There's no way it's Zegras.
It is Trevor Zegras.
It is
133.
Zegras. Wow. I'm gonna say because he was like awful this year when he's played.
Yeah. It's not a high bar. So he made it with 133 points over 3 full seasons.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. It is.
Troy Terry's way up there with 174. So
yeah, I was gonna say Troy Terry's like the clear, has been the top dog at least for the last 3 seasons. All right, well there you go. Trevor Zegras probably on his way out of Anaheim. So supposedly, probably will happen. Let's be real. Like it probably will happen. But hey, you know what? Good on him for contributing what he can to this team. That I mean, I don't like the Ducks, but they have a lot of talent on that team, but just can't.
Yeah, they're all
do
very
anything
young.
with it.
They are very young. They're just like Columbus. I think they'll get there
eventually.
Shout out to Radko Gudas. He's been having a very solid year for them.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he's actually been a really good addition for them this season.
Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes, most points in the second most points in the last 3 seasons.
All right, so Clayton Keller's 1. So number 2 is probably Nick Schmaltz.
It is Nick Schmaltz with 162.
Yeah, it's really those 2, and that's
After those 2, it falls off pretty good. Lawson Krause is quite a bit lower. Number 4 is Maselli already.
Wow.
With 101. He's already got 101 points.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
He's been pretty consistent for him, so that doesn't surprise me all too much.
Next is the Boston Bruins.
The Bruins, well, it's got to be Marchand then.
Yeah.
Obviously,
That
one's pretty obvious.
First is Pasternak with 285, and in second is Marchand with 206. It's
Marchand.
I'm surprised Marchand has that many less than Pasternak, honestly.
Yeah. But I mean, Marchand's not, he's still playing really good, but he's not quite in his prime like he was. If it was, Marchand in his prime versus Past over the last 3 years, but honestly, Marchand's probably got him beat.
Wow. So I just brought up the next one, the Buffalo Sabres. This one is a lot closer between basically everybody. A lot of them have the first, that top guy, that Clayton Keller right at the top, and then it drops down quite a bit. Yeah, between first and like fifth, there's 50 points of difference.
Okay. Well, I mean, number one is going to be Tage Thompson. I'm pretty certain on that, right? Like, that's fair to say.
Yeah. Not by a lot though. 13 points.
Number 2. Oh, that's tough though, based on how good Thompson was last year. Is it?
I could definitely see you guessing any of the top
Cousins.
4.
Dylan Cousins.
It is not. Cousins is 5th.
Okay, so it's Jeff Skinner then.
It is Jeff Skinner with 187.
Yeah.
Right below him is Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh, Dahlin's up there. Okay.
175.
Wow. I was gonna say, yeah, because I knew Tuck has missed some time due to injury, so I was like, if it's not Tage Thompson, it's either going to be Cousins or Skinner. Which, I mean, both of them have been actually outscoring Tage Thompson this year, surprisingly.
This one's very interesting. Number 1 is way above number 2. Number 2 to like 7 or 8 are all within 20 points. This is the Calgary Flames.
The Flames. Okay.
Last 3 seasons.
Yeah, because I got to start thinking about this because it's probably not even a player on their team anymore, based on everybody getting shipped out. Over the last 3 seasons, number one's probably Lindholm because he's been there all. Yeah, because he's been there all those seasons. So number 2 would be Kadri then, I would assume.
It is not. Kadri is looks like around 8.
So who's been there for 3 seasons still on the team that's been scoring?
They have 134 points, if that helps you visualize it.
Is that including like this season?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's like this season. Like
I just want to make sure like it's not Kudrow or Kachuk, right?
2 seasons. No, it is neither of them. They are sandwiching Kadri down there.
Okay. Just because I want to make sure it wasn't like not this season, but like the 3 before. Because I'm like, well, if you've got those 2 seasons of Kudrow and Kachuk, then...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this season and then the 2 before this one.
Okay. Lindholm's. Is it Mangiapane?
It is Mangiapane, although
he had that 1 year that was really good.
Yeah, he's only 3 ahead of Rasmus Andersson, who's only 3 ahead of Backlund. So
okay,
there's a couple guys that are pretty close on that one.
So I was just trying to think of a player that's been there, and I was like, who had like just 1 season where they just really went off? They could have brought their total up, and yeah, Mangiapane was like the only guy that fit there in that description. It could be Blake Coleman in a couple years if we redo this in 2 or 3 years time.
He's like 5th, and he's not far behind.
And he hasn't even been there for this is his 2nd year with the team, and he's already up there.
Yeah, I think so.
So that says a lot right there. Shit, this actually might be his 3rd year at the team. Is it? No, 2nd. Well, fuck, you should
No,
know.
no. This is his third year. We won back-to-back cups, then we lost him. So he was there for Colorado's year, and
Oh
then he
yeah.
was there for Vegas's, and now he's there for this one. So this is his third.
Fuck. What an Iron Man. His first year with the Flames, played 81 games last year, 82 this year, 65, played all of them. What a little warrior, actually.
Oh yeah,
For a guy who
dude
plays the
is a
way he
unit.
does.
He really is one of those depth middle six pieces that helps you win a cup.
He's just made of
Like
fucking bubble gum. You can just go in there and crash and bash and never. He just comes out fine every time.
every time.
Not to mention the amount of shots he blocks as well.
Yeah. The Carolina Hurricanes,
Number one, Aho.
of
Number
course.
two, I guess it's not Burnsy. Oh, this is tough. It's not Svechnikov because he's missed too much time. So I want to get this first guess. I want to try and get as many as I can first guess.
Right.
It's either I forget the one guy's name now already, which makes me think he's kind of relevant. So with Natchez.
Natchez is third.
Fuck. So it's Teravainen.
Teravainen is fourth.
What? Who am I forgetting? What bomb am I forgetting on Carolina?
You're not
I
forgetting
mean,
anybody.
they've been a good team, but like those are kind of their.
You're not forgetting them. You did say their name.
Is it Svechnikov?
It is Andrei Svechnikov.
I thought he missed like a whole bunch of games.
I kind of think he did miss quite a few, but yeah, he
Has he just
is.
been that dominant?
Yeah, he's 11 points ahead of Natchez, who's
Actually, I guess he really didn't
a
miss that
couple
much.
ahead of Teravainen.
Guess he only missed like 18 games last year. Yeah, and he still finished. Yeah, you know, I guess that's the thing with Carolina is they're always a good team, but they never have anyone that's really like
They
they're
don't have any
basically like
award winners.
yeah, they're like the Winnipeg Jets of the East. They don't really have anyone who's ever even like a point per game. They've just got a bunch of guys who are like 50 points plus.
Yeah, except for Aho.
Okay.
He can put up 82 in a season.
Has he?
I'm just assuming. I really don't know if he has.
I don't think he has. I don't think he
I'm
has.
assuming.
I'm not sure if he ever has actually. His most is 83. He did put up 83 in his third year.
He did. There he is. This one is going to be weird. The Chicago Blackhawks.
There's actually a very good chance that it's Bedard. No, it's not. It's obviously Kane would be one. Even though he's only played a year and a half there over that last 3 years span. There's a very good chance that number two is actually Alex DeBrincat in that 1 year.
DeBrincat is fourth.
Is it like one of those guys like Radish or Kurashev or?
Kurashev is third. Radish is just above Bedard down there.
Is it? It's so tough with these teams where like they have no identity and no players that have actually like.
But this is a guy that
been there for more than multiple years. Oh, it'd be Seth Jones because he's been there all 3 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's one of the few guys who've been there the whole time.
Yeah, I was trying to think of just one guy who's been there for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, Seth Jones. That makes sense.
Yeah, he's got to be one of the only guys who has. Man, looking at these names that show up on here, like even like 10 names down, like that's pretty bleak for a team's 3 years.
Yeah. Who do we got next?
Next we have the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, ooh. So one is obviously McKinnon. Number two,
you would be
it's
correct.
A 50-50. It's a 50-50. I think
it's not close.
Okay, so it's Rantanen then.
It is Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen was pretty close to taking it from McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon,
really? 314.
Mikko Rantanen, 287.
Oh, that's not close. That's not even close. That's still over 30 points.
When you're Well, it's like 26 or something, but comparative to it being the number being 314, that's close. Makar is down
Yeah,
at
I guess.
225, which is a bit of a bigger
Okay.
gap.
Yeah. As soon as you
But
said it's not close, I'm like, well, it's got to be. Oh shit! Flames are just on a heater in the third period against Vegas.
I'm telling
Just
you, the
potted 3 in a row.
collapse is coming.
I would love it, but as
Don't.
a
I'm not
realist,
telling you to get your
not
hopes
happening.
up. I'm just saying I'll be waving the flag if it happens.
Yeah. And hey, I will give you full props if it happens, but I firmly believe that it ain't happening.
Yeah.
I would love it though. Like I'd
I
love
don't have much
nothing
of a
more than.
reason to believe it would happen. I just think it'd be funny. Wow,
Yeah.
this one is very close. Okay, Columbus Blue Jackets.
Oh
One,
shit.
their top three are within 4 points of each other. So
Oh
this one's pretty
jeez.
tough.
So they're top 3. Fuck. Who's a guy who actually sticks around in Columbus is like, yeah, I'm a diehard fucking Blue Jacket. Aside from Boone Jenner, but it could honestly be Boone. I think he
It's
just
funny
hit 20 goals tonight.
looking at these. If Werenski was healthy for the last couple years, he'd totally be number one. 30 more points, he'd be up there.
His second honestly actually might be Gaudreau in his year and a half. It might be enough to get him like right in that second spot. And Werenski's third, and then I don't know who would one be. One honestly might be fucking Boone Jenner.
I will say, number one has 121 points
121
over the last 3 seasons. So that's not much.
121. So then Gaudreau would be first. Boone would be second, and then Werenski's probably third.
You would be correct. Goudreau is first. Boone Jenner is second. Patrick Laine is third.
Oh, Line. Oh
And
shit.
and then it's
All right.
Roslovic, and Werenski.
Okay.
All
Oh, so
pretty
there we go.
close up
Boone.
there.
Because you say, so you said 120. I'm like, okay, well, actually, probably Gaudreau then.
Yeah. I'm surprised Boone Jenner doesn't have more because he's been there for a while, right? Like,
He's been there his whole career.
yeah, like
He's
I'm
a
surprised he
he's
doesn't
a
have more than that in the past 3 seasons.
he's a probably more of a face of the franchise than Rick Nash at this point.
Yeah, I can see
They
it.
could have traded Boone Jenner for first round pick and a grade A prospect at the deadline if they wanted to, and they chose to hold on to him while they're continuing their 24-year rebuild.
Hey, it's a great time over there.
Shit, man, I'm just ripping on teams right now.
Yeah, you're just letting them fly on them, man. We got to get to a team you like.
Well, I like this next team, and I'm going to get it first guess because there's only I have a 50-50.
The Dallas Stars.
So it would be either Rupe Hintz or Jason Robertson.
It would be neither of them.
Really?
Yeah. Why don't you put that in your pipe and smoke it?
So then number 2 is which one would be 1? Which one would be 3? So number 2 would have to be Joe Pavelski then.
Yeah, it is Robertson
I'm just trying to figure out.
Pavelski at
Robertson's
2,
on.
and Hintz at 3.
Oh, there we go. Hey, I still got a first guess though.
Yeah, 255 for Robertson.
I was gonna say, so Pavelski's actually really been just tearing it up. I thought he would be like easily he'd be number 3 out of those 3. Oh wow. Well, there we go. And he's like, what is he? He's 40? Like
at least 38 or something like that. Like
I think he's 40 right now. And the fact that he's doing that is actually nuts. Like regardless of who he's playing with. Okay, he's 39. He turns 40 in July.
Yeah.
Dang. There we go. Joe Pavelski, the face of the Dallas Stars right now.
The Detroit Red Wings.
Over the last 3 years, it probably is Lucas Raymond.
It is. It is Larkin at 1 and Raymond at 2.
Yeah. I would say, aside from those two, who else has really put up points that's been there for 3 years?
Sider's 30 points below Raymond, and like 40 points below him is David Perron. Like, it's not very
wow.
close there.
So it's like a clear drop off there, yeah.
Yeah. All right. For all the marbles, who is the second highest scorer over the last 3 years in the Edmonton Oilers?
Leon Draisaitl, let's move on. That's the easiest one on the entire list.
Absolutely. He's closer than you'd think to McDavid. Like,
honestly, he's probably not far off. Like, not super far from McDavid. Like, it's probably like 25 points between them.
He's 60. but the difference in 60 compared to the 382 points in 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's true. Like, over the last 3 seasons, Draisaitl was probably number 2 in the league. Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Like, the fact he's 60 off from McDavid is, yeah. I remember when there was a debate at one point that people actually thought Draisaitl was better than McDavid. When Draisaitl was like popping off while McDavid was out injured.
Yeah.
People were like,
to be fair,
he did win. Might actually.
He did win a Hart Trophy. But
Coleman scored again. Climbing the ranks.
That's our guy. That's our guy right there.
Florida.
Wow, this one's way closer than I would have thought. The Florida Panthers.
How many points does number 2 have?
226. And number 1 has 232.
226. Is it Tkachuk?
It is not. Tkachuk is 4th. What a bum.
Oh, Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
Because of this year.
Yeah. Sam Reinhart, 226 and 232 for Barkov. He's right up there beside Barkov.
He's had a hell of a year. He's going to get a nice payday when he signs that new deal. Who do we got next?
The LA Kings.
LA Kings, Adrian Kempe.
You are correct. Kopitar 1, Kempe 2 with 194 and 174 respectively.
Good for Kempe, actually, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was pretty cut and dry.
Did after really well the LA Kings, be the Minnesota Wild. Yeah. Oh, see, I'm on it. I'm already on it. I'm ready. Minnesota Wild. So Kaprizov is like clearly number 1. There's probably 100 points differential between him and number 2.
57 point differential.
Really?
Yeah.
The question is it Eriksson Ek or Zuccarello?
Those two guys are 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
So
I'm just trying to I'm trying to do this without even like looking at guys' points totals from even just this season alone to try and get a gauge. I think Zuccarello missed actually some time last year, so for that reason I'm gonna go with Eriksson Ek.
It is Mats Zuccarello.
It is Zook. Yeah. Wow. How far off are they from each other?
30 points, 200 and 170.
Shit.
Yeah, Eriksson Ek, kind of a bum though.
Wow.
Good for Zuccarello.
Yeah, actually, that's incredible. It's another guy like Pavelski. Like he's up there in age, I think. I think he's pushing. Actually, he might be a decent bit younger
than Pavelski, probably.
36.
Well, okay, that's still pretty freaking old. Yeah. That's like Crosby's
in this day and age of the NHL. Yeah, that's up there.
The Montreal Canadiens.
Ooh.
Last 3 seasons.
So Suzuki would be 1.
Correct.
2. Who's been there even for 3 seasons?
Doesn't look like a lot of people.
I think it actually might be Cole Caulfield then.
It is Cole Caulfield. He
I say,
has
like, who else has been there aside from like Brendan Gallagher, but like he's too busy throwing elbows at people's heads.
Yeah,
He was Matt
Caulfield's
Rempe
got
before
like
Rempe.
he's got like 60 points less than Suzuki, but he's still got 50 more than the person in third.
Oh wow, who's third?
Anderson.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say Anderson and Gallagher are the only two I could think of that, aside from Suzuki, of like forward wise at least,
Yeah,
have
yeah. I
been
was
there
gonna
for the
say
last three.
fourth is Matheson. Gallagher's down in like 10th.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah,
over
Gallagher
3 seasons, he's
gonna.
only got 58 points. Monahan almost passed him.
I was gonna say, yeah, Gallagher just the way he played just really kind of, eventually just kind of hit a wall and was just like wasn't much he could do with the way he was playing for the way he did for as long as he did.
Yeah. Nashville Predators.
Yeah, the Preds. Well, so I mean, Forsberg is clear cut number one, like absolute animal. Number two, I mean, he almost dropped 100 points, so probably Roman Josi.
It is not Roman Josi.
What?
Nope.
Wouldn't. It's not Roman Josi at 2.
Nope.
Forsberg's 1.
Nope.
Wait, Forsberg's not 1. Who am I? So Forsberg's 2.
Forsberg is number 2, and Roman Josi is number 1.
Really?
25 points.
Wow.
And then Forsberg is like nuts. 50 or 60 above Duchesne.
That's nuts. I didn't think Josi was 1. Dang.
Yeah, 220 points in the last 3 seasons as a defenseman.
Wow. He's got no Norrises. That's wild. I mean, he was robbed the 1 year, but
he is heavily underrated, I think.
Yep. And I think his 1 year to win a Norris, I still think he got robbed, but teach their own, right? We're all allowed to have our own individual shitty opinions.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point of opinions, to have bad ones.
Yeah.
The New Jersey Devils.
Jesper
this
Bratt.
This one is close. It is Jesper Bratt. He is only 6 points behind Jack Hughes.
Yeah, because Hughes has missed some time with injuries, whereas Bratt's usually stayed pretty, healthy, and so
yeah, and only 20 points behind Bratt is Hischier, yeah.
Hischier, yeah.
And then it's a huge drop off after that.
Kind of the easy top 3 to guess there.
Yeah. The New York Islanders.
Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson is incorrect.
Brock. So is it Barzal then? Is Nelson 1?
Nelson is 1. Barzal is 2.
Wow.
Noah Dobson.
The season Barzal was having, he'd be 1 now. Wow.
Dobson is only 14 points behind Barzal.
I think Brock Nelson might actually be the most underrated player in the NHL now at this point. Like, dude constantly is just dropping 30 goals and like to lead the team in points the last 3 seasons, and like no one talks about him. Like, people talk about the Islanders, it's like Barzal, Horvat, Dobson, Sorokin. Like, no one talks about Brock Nelson.
Yeah,
and he's just been doing it consistently for the last 10 years. Like, so underrated, man. I did not think he would have been 1. Man, you learn something new every day.
Every day we're learning. The New York Rangers.
Zibanejad.
It is Zibanejad.
How far off is he from Kreider? How below is Kreider?
Kreider is 40 points down. In 4th. Adam Fox is in 3rd.
Oh, Fox is in 3rd. Because obviously Panarin's the clear cut number 1.
Yeah, by 50 points.
Wow,
Didn't think
good for
Zibanejad
Fox
was at
actually.
228 though. Like
Adam Fox, Calgary Flames legend.
Flames legend. Brutal. The
What?
Ottawa Senators.
Ooh, Ottawa's a tough team actually because they're not a very durable team.
They really aren't.
They're really not a durable team.
They are not.
So I'm assuming one is Stutzel.
Yep.
It's number 2.
Only 6 points behind him.
It's only 6, but that changes everything then, because then it's definitely not Drew. Because Drew actually might be up there.
He's in the top 4.
Who the heck would be that just barely below Stutzel after over 3 seasons?
I kind of forgot about Stutzel. I thought this guy was going to be first for sure.
Oh, Brady Tkachuk, duh.
Yeah, it's Brady Tkachuk.
How did I forget about? Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about Big Tkachuk there.
Yeah, 208 and 202, and then in third is Batherson with 154.
No, Brady Tkachuk's another guy that's actually just. I mean, I know he's the captain, like he's got the name, but like he's also very underrated for what he does offensively. Like a lot of people focus on him for the hits and the fights and the leadership, but like he puts up points consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a fantasy machine, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Flyers.
So Konechny would be 1.
Yeah, clear cut.
Joel Farabee would be 2.
You are correct. And there's a lot of guys
That's a
pretty
weird
close.
one. That's a weird one, Farabee.
Yeah. Scott Lawton is not far behind. But
Scott, okay. More of a defensive guy as well. So from Pittsburgh would be next, I would assume.
Yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And that would be Evgeny Malkin.
It is not Evgeny Malkin.
Be Jake Gensel. Sorry.
It is Jake Gensel.
Yeah. Carolina Hurricanes legend Jake Gensel.
Legend.
Yeah. Gensel just got traded, so I was just thinking of I was just trying to think of guys actively on the team.
Yeah.
Especially because I just watched the Penguins tonight, so. Which man. They look bad for the talent they have. It's just they're struggling.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to watch. But
speaking of tough things to look at.
Yeah. Tough, yeah. Fuck.
San Jose.
Well, Hertl would be 1, Couture. No. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, it is Couture 2.
No, Hertl is 1.
Okay, so Carlson's 2 then, actually. I was just thinking, after he just dropped 100, it would definitely be Carlson.
So it's Hertl at 161, then Carlson at 136, then Meyer, then Couture.
Yeah, so fuck. I mean,
Burns is still in your top 6.
Their top 4 are all not even on the team anymore, pretty much. Well, 3 of them aren't 100%. Then Couture, I never know with him. Don't even know what's going to happen. Like, who's 5 then? Who's still? Oh, and he's not going to be on the team after this season. He was supposed to be traded at the deadline. He was actually told by the Sharks he was going to be traded, but then they used their last retention spot on trading Hertl, which stopped the deal from trading Barabanov because they had to retain half of his salary to send him to the Rangers. So that deal got axed at the last minute.
Oof.
So obviously he's pissed at the team. So he won't be back next year. So that's their entire top 6 is jeez.
They might be able to trade him in the offseason to somebody.
Nope, he's on an expiring deal.
But you could send his signing rights somewhere.
Yeah, get a 7th round pick. That probably at best. It's just he's just gonna hit free agency. They're not gonna just trade his rights because any team will just be like, we'll sign him in free agency.
I don't know. He's a pretty sick player. Top 6. The Seattle Kraken.
Ooh.
This is a very weird one.
Jaden Schwartz.
No, Jaden Schwartz is 9th. Wow.
Ooh. Because I know Jared McCann is 1.
Yeah.
2. Oh, Schwartz is that low. I guess actually maybe he's only been there for a season and a half. Maybe. Is it Eberle?
It is Eberle and somebody else tied for 2nd.
Would it be Beniers?
It is not. Beniers is 6th.
Who the fuck else is there? Yanni Gord?
Gord is 4th. I would argue this guy is their best player.
Bjorkstrand.
No.
Argue that they're their best player, but it's not McCann.
You know what? I'm fairly confident this is their best player. You can make the argument with McCann, but I think that's the only guy you can argue. It is Vince Dunn.
Oh, Vince Dunn. Wow.
Yeah. 144 points over his last 3 seasons.
Wow. So, yeah, fair enough. You could definitely make that argument, actually, yeah. You 100% could.
Yeah, tied with Eberle for 2nd in points on the team.
Wow, that's impressive. Way to go, Dunn. All right.
The St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues. It's another one of those weird ones where it's like it could be one of the guys that have been moved out of the last couple, like recently. Oh no, you don't know. Well, Robert Thomas is definitely number 1. So number 2 would be Jordan Kyrou then.
You are correct. Although Kyrou is within 15 points of Thomas.
Oh wow,
it's close. And Buchnevich is 4 below Kyrou. Those 3.
I was going to say, what I started to think. Yeah, I started to think could have been maybe O'Reilly, but now I was like, no, I'm just starting to think of all the guys that are still there, just plugging away for that team. Some good building pieces for them though.
Yeah, right. Like they're looking to be good at some point.
Buchnevich will be good for bringing in more pieces to build around those guys, but
yeah. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Point.
It is not Braden Point.
Stamkos then.
It is Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, I had a 50-50 there.
Yeah. I would have said Point as well. But Stammer has 20 more points than him.
Wow. Okay. So it's actually not as close as I thought.
Yeah, Kucherov with 294, Stamkos with 246, Point with 226. Hedman's still up at 200.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He's even after last season, he's hanging in with them. The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ooh.
This is actually more interesting. At first glance, you're like, "Oh, this is easy," and then you're like, "Hold up."
I think it's Austin Matthews.
Oh my god! I just pulled it up. Like as I've got the other tab, so I read which team it is, and then I type it in, and I see it like after I've asked.
Mm-hmm.
It is not Austin Matthews.
Is Matthews 1 or is he 3?
Matthews is 1.
He is 1. Okay, so number 2 would be Marner then.
Yeah. Guess how many?
I thought Marner
guess how many
maybe
points
had the edge.
Differentiate them.
2.
1.
1.
So I don't know if they played a game tonight. Maybe it's different now. But 273 and 272.
I don't think Marner played.
I tell you what, I didn't think.
Marner's still injured. Yeah.
I know Nylander's been great this year, but I still thought the gap between Matthews, Marner, and Nylander would be bigger. Nylander's up at 253. He's 20 behind Matthews, 19 behind Marner.
Oh, it's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, right? Maybe make him feel a little better about that contract extension.
Yeah, I thought Marner maybe just had the slight edge, but one back.
The Vancouver Canucks.
JT Miller. Unless he's it
It
would
is
be Miller.
not. It is not Miller.
Is he 1?
He's number 1.
Wow, so Pedersen's 2.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah,
are
it is
saying
Elias
JT
Pettersson.
Miller got overpaid on his deal.
Yeah.
He's he's like top 10 in points this season.
It's wild that he's so good as a two-way player all of a sudden. Because for a bit there, he was like legitimately one of the worst players, arguably the worst player in the league defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just basically refused to go to inside his blue line. Like he would just hang out in the neutral zone.
As
And
a
then
centerman.
and then all of a sudden, as if overnight, he's great on the penalty kill and 5-on-5 defense. Maybe it was the
And
coach. Maybe it's the
and he's
coaching
scoring
change.
like crazy. I think the coaching change had a lot to do with it. Yeah.
But yeah, he's turned it around big time.
Wow. Another one of those guys. You know what? The fact that so many people say his contract is brutal kind of makes him an underrated guy.
Yeah.
People talk about him a lot, but in a negative way when he should be getting a lot of praise for what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. This one is interesting, and a lot of guys are pretty close here. The Vegas Golden Knights.
Marchessault's probably 1.
You are correct.
Because he's the only guy who doesn't get injured. He's not part of their...
He's only 12 points ahead of number 2. So he's not running away with it.
Is it number 2 be Eichel then?
Eichel is number 3.
Stevenson? Or Stone?
It is Chandler Stevenson.
It is Stevenson.
169. And then Eichel,
Wow.
Carlson, Pietrangelo, Theodore, and Stone way down there at 121 with all his missed games.
He keeps taking some time off. So
if we just give Kolasar some time, he'll creep up the ranks, I'm sure.
He'll get there eventually.
The Washington Capitals.
Well, probably is actually John Carlson.
I'm just pulling it up. I'm almost thinking Carlson might be ahead of Ovechkin.
No.
Never mind.
It's probably not even close.
Sorry, who is your answer?
John Carlson.
It is not Carlson. Because he is in 3rd.
Oshie?
Nope. Wow, Oshie's way down there. So like 10th, 11th.
Oh. Who else am I missing? Is it Kuznetsov?
It is Kuznetsov.
It is Kuznetsov.
Yeah, 12 more points than Carlson.
Wow. Geez, I thought after even just this season alone, that would be enough for Kuznetsov to kind of drop down a bit.
Yeah, right. I kind of thought Wilson would be higher. 102 points over 3 seasons. Dude made the All-Star team. Like, I didn't think he was a top-notch scorer, but like I thought he was putting up 50 points a year. No, he's averaging like 35 points a season.
Yeah, he's usually been about a 40 to 50 somewhere in there for the most part. Throughout the majority of his career, at least. Last 2 seasons, I don't know, maybe injuries. I'm not too sure.
Couple suspensions here and there.
This last one's going to be tough.
The Winnipeg Jets.
This one's tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys up there that are not on the team.
I think is Kyle Connor 1?
Kyle Connor is 2? Number 1.
And then Scheifele's 2.
Scheifele is number 2.
How far back is Nikolai Ehlers?
He is 60 points back. 60, 55-ish points back of Scheifele. Josh Morrissey is only 20 points back of Scheifele.
Really? Wow.
166 for Josh Morrissey.
Jeez. I mean, I know he did a good year last year, but geez, I guess he's been... I guess that's kind of the thing with Winnipeg, right? Is like they're kind of like that, like we talked about the Carolina, where it's they don't really have guys that are going to put up those, 85 plus point seasons, but you're going to have a lot of guys at that, 40, 45 point plus range.
Yeah. Yeah, which team was it? 1 or 2 years ago, the St. Louis Blues. They had like 8 or 9 guys who scored 20 or more goals.
Yeah, I think it was the Blues last year.
Like,
Yeah,
like that was wild. They had so many guys scoring for them, like every single guy in their top 6, and then a few
yeah,
more.
yeah, and then a few extras here and there. Well,
Yeah,
I
that's the
made
league.
I probably got, I would say, 10 teams on my first guess. I
That
wasn't keeping
sounds
track,
accurate.
but I'd say about 10.
Yeah, I wasn't keeping track of that, but
And for a lot of them, if I didn't get on my first guess, it was my second guess. A lot of
yeah,
50-50s.
I think the majority of them that you got wrong, it's because you thought somebody was number 1 when they weren't, and you just mixed up 1 and 2, but you knew who the
Yeah.
top 2 were.
Yeah. Getting the top 2 is pretty easy for most teams, at least. I think there's like 1 or 2 that my first guess was like, oh, they're like fucking 5th or 6th or something. But overall, not too bad. But I guess with
Something
that, I
that you can
guess
do? Neat. I didn't know you could do this. Just
do
because
what?
I put it in and it showed up. Over the last 3 NHL seasons, who in the league has the second most secondary assists?
Wait, what?
Not just assists. Who has the most secondary assists? So like they were the second last guy to touch it, not the primary assist.
Uh,
I put that
I
in
don't even
thinking it
know.
would give me an error.
Draisaitl.
It is Kucherov.
Oh, it is Kucherov.
So McDavid has 249, and then from Kucherov in second to like Marner in like ninth, it's 18 points.
Oh, wow.
So like everyone is right there.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would come up with secondary assists. It's cool that it knew that. For anyone wondering, I used statmuse.com for this. You just put in who had the most points on whatever team in the last 3 seasons, and it gives you the whole list. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. But I think that kind of wraps up everything we had for this episode. I think all that's left is the stats leaders now.
Yes, of course.
I mean, it's only a couple of days from the last one, but do a little uptick. So there's been some higher scoring games over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'll just have to refresh some of these pages here. Hopefully, it actually refreshes the points. It did. Excellent. Good. Because Kucherov had a big night. So for the league lead in points, it is still Nathan MacKinnon in first place with 115. Nikita Kucherov in second with 112, catching up to him a little bit after tonight. And Connor McDavid still chucking along at 106. Those three are pretty well separated from the pack at this point.
Yeah.
For goals, back on track for 70. Austin Matthews in first with 55. Zach Hyman in joint second with Sam Reinhart, both at 46. It's crazy. We've talked this year about how insane Austin Matthews' goal scoring pace is. He's not beating the next guy by even 10 yet, which I mean,
Yeah.
beating the next guy in second by 10 goals is kind of crazy, but you know, the pace. Sam Reinhart and Zach Hyman are not names that should be mentioned for a 60-goal season. They're looking like they're pretty close to on pace for it.
Yeah. They're right there on the cusp for it.
For goalies, we got goals saved above expected. This is with a minimum of what should I put it at? Let's go 37. With a minimum of 37 games played. In first, we have still Connor Hellebuck, as always, 28.2. Thatcher Demko with a 20.4. And a Sergei Bobrovsky with an 18.8. And then for save percentage on shots on goal, we got Connor Hellebuck with a 921. Jeremy Swayman with a 920. And Joey Decord with a 919. feel like I've said those exact numbers a couple of times, but I guess that's how consistent they are.
Yeah, they've been doing their thing almost for last couple weeks at least, and they haven't slowed down at all.
Nope. Hellebuck, I think even the other day just got another shutout. He is
Yeah, he did.
really locking down the Vezina. There is so little
Yeah,
argument for anyone else at
yeah,
this point,
he's
especially
he's
with Demko getting injured, being out for I believe 2 to 4 weeks.
yeah, it's kind of all but sealed it up now for Hellebuck, barring anything super crazy happening. But even so, I mean, I think he's still pretty much got it
Yeah,
locked
he got it
down.
pretty locked up. And then for the league standings, so we have starting in the Eastern Conference, we have the top three in the Atlantic: the Florida Panthers with 94 points, the Bruins with 93, and the Toronto Maple Leafs with 84. In the Metro, we have the Rangers with 90, the Hurricanes with 86, and the Philadelphia Flyers still hanging on to their Metro spot with 76. And then in the wild card 1 and 2, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders with 76 and 72 points. And then tied with the Islanders, it is 72 points with the Detroit Red Wings. And in the West, we have the Central Division, the Colorado Avalanche on a 5-game win streak. They have 89 points, tied with the Dallas Stars, also with 89, and the Winnipeg Jets in third in the Central there with 87 points. In the Pacific, we have the Canucks with 92 points, the Oilers with 83, and the LA Kings with 77. And then in the two wildcard spots in the West there, we got the Predators with 80 and the Vegas Golden Knights with 77. 77 points. Next closest is the Blues and the Wild, like we said earlier, with 71 points apiece. So tough hill to climb, but they might be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely still possible.
And then, for those curious, the bottom three teams in the overall league are the San Jose Sharks with 39 points, the Chicago Blackhawks with 41, and the Anaheim Ducks with 49 points. The Blackhawks have won 2 in a row, so they're who knows? Maybe Bedard's going to pull them away a bit from the Sharks a bit, and we'll see who wins the lottery, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really the only thing. Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, San Jose fans really all got to look forward to is the draft lotteries. So, yeah,
This has
hoping
been
it goes the way we want.
This has been a really entertaining March, and it's only going to get better for the wild card race in both the East and the West. So, I'm really excited to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that in the NCAA, Macklin Celebrini did actually lead all players in points per game, and he's doing that at 17 years old. So compared to all these guys that have already been drafted and are 18, 19, or even the the older guys that are 20, 21, Celebrini at 17 years old led the league in points per game, which is pretty impressive to do at that age. So
it's the real deal.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that I've seen people make the argument that maybe he doesn't go number one, but like he's going number one. Like
and you know
it's
what?
not close.
But I will say we thought that Shane Wright was going to be the number one pick until we didn't. Like he was pretty solidly locked as number one until 2 days before the draft.
No,
like it was not that long.
No, there was cracks during the middle of the season already.
I didn't hear about it when it was happening, but
it didn't seem likely. But there was already talks that he might not be the guy going number one. And then as it started to really lead up, it was like shit. He actually probably isn't going to go number one. After some people kind of said that his draft interviews weren't great. Like they weren't bad, but like they weren't what you would expect from a guy to go number one.
Yeah. I would love for a GM to write a book and include a ton of stories about draft interviews and all the stuff that goes on with those, because every single story I've ever heard about draft interviews are just so interesting to me as a hockey fan.
Yeah.
Like Vasilevsky was very slightly on Steve Yzerman's radar, and then they did the draft interview, and he was like, "We need this kid. We need him on our team." Like he was literally just sitting there, and like he was literally just brought in like crayons and shit, like coloring pencils, and was just coloring while his agent did it, and he translated some things. And
Jeez.
he was like, he at some point he was like, "What are you drawing?" And he drew himself in a. He was like a kid. He drew himself in a Lightning jersey with the Stanley Cup, and he's like, "That's gonna be me in like 5 years." And Yzerman's like, "What a
Wow.
fucking G."
17 years old and fucking still drawn with crayons. That's big energy right there.
I don't know if it was crayons, but I mean, he wasn't doing it with paints or nothing. So
Yeah.
but yeah, he was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. If you draft me, we're gonna win. It's gonna be sick."
Yeah.
And like, who knows how many good or bad interviews have led to picks, right? Like, that'd be so cool to be a fly on the wall for some of those.
Mm-hmm. What was in
Like, what do you do to mess it up, right?
What was in
Are you big dick in a
2012?
GM?
What was 2012 when Brian Burke said that if the Leafs had the number 1 overall pick, they wouldn't have taken Yakupov at 1, because even if he fell to number 5, they wouldn't have taken him because they were not happy with his draft interview. So that's pretty crazy that a guy that goes number 1, the team at number 5 wouldn't have even taken him if he fell to number 5.
And he was a Macklin Celebrini type. He was this guy's going number 1. We all knew Yakupov was going 1.
Like, oh yeah, it wasn't even close. Like he was,
despite how he turned out at the time, it was a no-brainer. So that's like, what did he say? Did he say fuck Toronto? Did he say I don't want to be here, or did he just not see him in it? Like, was it really bad, or was it just he didn't show the drive we wanted? Like,
yeah, it's just not what Toronto was looking for, type of thing. Yeah, you never quite know.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. Maybe, I mean, there's a very good chance I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe there's plenty of books out there with that stuff in it that I haven't read. So if you know about anything like that, absolutely let us know on Twitter.
Yeah, and you can find us over on Twitter as well as Instagram at SEU Hockey. Feel free to throw us a follow, come and say hi. Send us whatever you want. We check them daily. We check the messages, replies and whatnot. So if you want to get in contact with us and let us know what you want us to talk about or what you want to see more on the podcast here, just let us know on there, and we will we take everything into consideration. For every episode and how we plan these. But I think that's everything for this episode. I don't know if you have anything you want to add in last second here.
Just shout out to Anthony Duclair. This team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, looks so good with him in the top 6, as well as Matt Dumba, dude. Matt Dumba for a freaking 5th all day. He actually looks really good right now.
Yeah,
it's literally been 2
games.
Good
trade for them.
Yeah, and we got a 7th back, like basically for free. So like,
yeah. And to see the imprints that they make early on is good, because sometimes it takes guys a couple games to really get situated and fit in, and for them to come in right from the beginning and make their mark is pretty huge.
Yeah, Duclair out there looks like Brandon Hagel playing with the play style of Nick Paul. Like that, he plays like such a guy he plays like a bigger player than he is. And he had I don't know who he blew up, but I texted you about it when it happened. He stepped over the blue line with the puck, mind you, and blew up the defenseman. He hit him so hard, his own stick went flying and flew into the crowd. Like,
yeah,
he is a fun guy to watch. I really hope they can keep him. Hopefully they offer an extension or something.
For sure. But with that wraps up everything we have for this episode. Once again, thank you to everybody for tuning in to yet another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast, and we will see you guys next week.